Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
I'm Derryl DePriest.
And I'm Brian Mix.
Full house, everybody.
Welcome back,
this is
guys.
A special
Thanks.
Christmas gift to you.
Great.
Extra Joes.
Extra
Yay.
Joes. You know, and for those who celebrate, if you're listening to this when it's released, Merry Christmas, because this will come out on Christmas, right, Barry?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. This
Provided I get a description and everything on time. Yes, it will come
All right,
out on
so
Christmas.
it comes out the
I wrote
day
the description
after
2 days ago, Barry. So
I
you're
know
good.
you did. So this is really weird. The other morning I was we have a shared document. I was in there writing the description for the shows that are going to come out after Christmas. And I was seeing them change in real time in front of me. And it took me a minute to realize Todd was real time
I get an
editing my
alert
document.
whenever that note's edited. So Barry was editing it, and so I was editing it while he was doing it.
That's so meta.
This was too early on a Sunday morning for me to realize what was going on.
Oh, and for the rest of us, happy Festivus tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And happy everything. So, yeah, end of
I'll
the
drink
year.
to
So maybe at the end of the show, Dave, we'll talk about the other shows that are going to come out right after this one. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, this will be this is our Christmas episode. Not that we're doing anything. We're not doing the Christmas gift exchange due to COVID. We're going to figure that out.
Death.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But it is the season of giving still, so give if you can. A lot of unfortunate people out there. So help them if you can help them. What are we doing? Let's go. Okay. What are we talking about? I think you know what we're talking about. Season finale of Mandalorian. As if we didn't talk about it last week.
We did not. We skipped episode 7 because we said we were going to cover them both on this show.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to go straight to episode 8 for the most
part.
Yeah.
Like, we remember 7 now.
7's
Okay.
irrelevant. So there's spoilers, and if you listen to this show and even know what Mandalorian is and have not watched this, you got bigger problems.
Stop now.
So,
Run away.
you shouldn't be listening unless you're incapacitated. Unless you're like under a rock or something.
Yeah. Text
us and we'll send help. So we'll do that. Then we'll do some other stuff. So let's go some random. Brian, I believe you're going first.
I'm going to go. It's been a little bit, but it hasn't been covered on the show, and that's the passing of Herb Solo. Probably the grandfather of Star Trek. It could be said.
I would say so. He brought the idea, right?
And the story that kills me is he went to Lucy at Desilu and pitched Star Trek and Mission Impossible as two possible outside the box shows that could put Desilu on the map, and she said do them both.
Yep.
And he did both of those shows.
Yep.
And that's just two iconic shows out of a tiny studio in the 60s is just an amazing story.
I would say both Lucille Ball and Herb Solo's contributions are underreported as far as that show is concerned.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Herb Solo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Todd, what do you got?
One of a show that I really like, His Dark Materials on HBO, based on the Philip Pullman novels, just got renewed for a third season, which means third and final season, which means they will do all 3 of the books, which is really cool. So some people did not want to jump onto this because when they did the movie adaptation, they only got the first, which was The Golden Compass. They only got the first one done, and then it was dropped. They've done a really good job with this. Daphne Keane is the lead, who you might remember as X-23 from Wolverine. Other than having a huge growth spurt between season 1 and season 2, she does a wonderful job with it. It's a really good show. It's definitely worth checking out if you haven't. And we now know you will get the entire story, which is it's a really cool thing. So it's kind of it's a parallel worlds thing with very big differences between the worlds in some very, very cool ways. So one's kind of steampunky and the other is our reality. And it's definitely worth checking out. So other than one gross miscasting, it's excellent. So
what's it on HBO? I think it's HBO.
Yep. Yeah, it's on HBO.
There you go. Barry, what do you got?
I don't have much, but I will say that given that it is Christmas Day, there are 2 things you can be watching if you have access to these services. There's Wonder Woman 84, which comes out on HBO Max today. And show I'm really looking forward to on Disney Plus is the Mandalorian Season 2 Gallery episode. It looks like they're just doing a special instead of a whole series or a whole season. But given how amazing this season was, and we'll talk about that more later, I'm really looking forward to seeing this behind the scenes.
I wonder how long that is.
I hope it's long. I hope it's at least an hour.
Oh God, I hope it's. I'm wondering if it's like real long, because that's a good night of television right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and there's a bunch of good stuff out right now. I mean, we haven't talked about The Expanse season 5 yet, but that's on now. So there's a whole bunch of good TV on, and good stuff coming in early January. So
yeah, and definitely more stuff coming.
But watch those too, because I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about those early on in next year.
And if you don't have HBO Max, see if you have HBO, because then you get it for free.
And a lot of people that don't realize they
don't
have
get. A lot
that.
of people don't realize they are spending a boatload of money, and that's been paying for all this. No,
and they struck a deal with Amazon, so you can get it on your Amazon device now as well.
And they are finally coming to Roku as well. I think
they
they're actually
are on Roku.
Yeah.
And I was funny because I had, and we'll talk about this more later in Show and Tell, I believe. I had bought a TiVo stream just to watch HBO Max, and then I'm in my other room that has a Roku, and they're like, "Hey, watch HBO Max." So I've been looking like every couple of months to see, or weeks to see if it's coming, and now it's here. So
yeah, it's here. They got it just in time for Wonder Woman. So
yeah,
and
smart.
Wonder Woman, I believe, is going to be the very first thing they put on in 4K as well.
Okay,
HBO Max.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Yep.
I'm good. That's good. My random ties into that. So Patty Jenkins in an interview said she would be maybe interested in doing Wonder Woman 3 if it was a theatrical model. So what's interesting is, as we've talked about, Wonder Woman's coming out on television, basically. The whole slate of other Warner Brothers movies, which one of Wonder Woman is, if 21 is coming out, and there's been a tremendous backlash to this. So I'm wondering if this whole move, in part, is strengthening the back to theaters, where there was a huge backlash between actors and producers and agents, for sure.
Yep.
Because it changed the whole financial structure of Hollywood, basically. So
That's right.
It's and Nolan and some other big director. I can't remember.
There's a bunch of directors that have come out.
Yeah.
It's interesting too when you talk about Patty Jenkins. There's been a lot of articles out with her in the last couple of weeks because of Wonder Woman coming out and because of the announcement of the Rogue Squadron movie. But she apparently almost walked away from the second Wonder Woman movie because she was being paid so much less than men in her position doing their second superhero movies were being paid. And she actually went to bat for herself and defended it and was very prepared to walk away from it and finally got what she felt was comparable, or at least, a good enough payday that she was willing to come back and do it. But it's odd to me that even in this day and age that she would have to fight that fight.
Yeah.
But
Wouldn't it be terrible if they gave her more of the back end?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that has been interesting is there are directors out there who made movies that they knew were going direct to stream, for the streaming services, whether it's Amazon or Netflix or whatever like that, who ultimately did better than people who made what they thought were theatrical releases this year.
Yeah.
So because
I've also heard
this year,
part of the reason for the backlash is and I read an article that for Wonder Woman, which was the first, they kind of got paid. I heard Gal Gadot got like a big chunk of money, where the next bunch, that the Dune and all those movies, they didn't get to have that option. So this may, instead of like fostering in a new era of movies on television, basically, may do the opposite, where there's so much backlash in the community that we get back to theaters sooner, which
there's going to be contracts written that say it's got to be released. I mean, that's what
I think
people
will
do.
But I think studios are going to be hesitant to do those deals because look at what happened with Tenet, and it nearly bankrupted the studio. So
And even after COVID, I think the movie theaters are. I mean, yeah, go ahead and release it in a movie theater. It's going to make $20 million.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting.
the reality is the studios and everybody can posture as much as they want. It's going to be the reality of the audiences, what they want to see.
Right.
And what they will do.
Right. What
You
they
got to
will do.
remember
knowing
that
that
the theater.
the people on the business side of it, whether it be on the studio side or on the performer side or on all of it, they're going to have to structure the deals differently, because nobody's going to do a deal that's a little bit up front and committed huge amounts on the back end without knowing if it's even going to ever get released theatrically, and there is no back end to split up.
Something that just popped in my head on another show. You guys are familiar with, back in the day, all of the studios owned the movie theaters.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
And they said, and the class action suit came through and said, you can't do that. You've got to split it up. The settlement of that suit ends at the end of 2020.
Yeah.
Really
Interesting.
So studios can own movie theaters again.
And no one wants them.
Yeah, no one
Well,
likes
it might be a
Yeah.
more interesting model if you can only see Marvel movies in a certain theater or at home.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Interestingly, American theater culture came into being after the last pandemic. Okay. So we have not seen what will happen following a pandemic. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm
So-
I'm in one of the most backward states, Tennessee, right? Who never had a mask mandate. Even like when Tenet first came out, after three re-release dates, I went to the theater opening weekend because I said I have to support movies.
Derryl, just to gauge how backwards, was there still a line for Empire Strikes Back when you went?
Exactly. I was in an opening weekend. Saturday, maybe it was Friday night. 2 people in the theater. I was one of 2.
But that's because Christopher Nolan movies suck.
People here don't understand them.
That's true. Well, I don't think
I can
people in any
guarantee that.
state understand them. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
But
It'll
Excuse
be
me.
interesting.
Some
I
of my
mean,
favorite films are Christopher Nolan movies. So
Yeah.
he stepped out of his
I agree, Todd.
phase to make a couple good Batman movies, and then went right back into his indecipherable movie phase.
Oh, not at all. Not at
I
all.
totally
that's
disagree.
totally
that's
dis-
another show.
Totally
Yeah.
disagree.
I'm
But
sorry
it'll
for
be-
making you think, Barry.
I've said it a million times. I don't want to read. I don't want to think.
Fair
I
enough.
thought that was Dave's line.
That's not me. I like to read,
Dave likes to read. I don't like to read.
Okay.
All right.
but we'll see what happens. I mean, I had hoped, and I thought we were heading the way where these sort of boutique-y theaters, not that it's a boutique, but like the Alamo Draft House was really bringing the whole theatrical experience to a different level, and I think it did. I mean, you go there, you don't have the commercials that you do when you go to these other AMC type theaters. You have interesting before movie content, there's drinks. I thought I liked that model, but I also, if it was, there are definitely movies I had to see, but if it was a random sort of movie, I'd wait for it anyway. So I think, I'm fine with that. I never went to the movie just to do something. It was more like, this is something I need to see in the theater. So who knows?
I'm with you. And we all have nice sized TVs in our homes. We all have decent sound systems in our homes. So it's not like I can't get a good experience here. Doesn't mean I'm not going to want to go out and have date night with my wife and see movies again. So I'm looking forward to that if and when it's possible. But in the meantime, I'm okay watching it on my TV here.
I'll still see
I like
Wonder
the-
Woman in the theater because I just want to be immersed, and that's something that's difficult
I was
to
just
do
going
here.
to say, I went 3 months ago. I saw the original Star Wars on a screen in a theater that we rented, and I will always remember that moment. And even though it was not the first time I saw it on the big screen, and there is just something about that. And yeah, I will watch Wonder Woman on Christmas, and hopefully I'll be able to watch it late summer somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I look forward to getting back to movies. I'm just not doing it now. So, but I've taken steps. More on that later. Daryl, what do you got?
Okay, so this is I don't know, less a random topic and as much as a shout out. So it recently the Star Wars author Jonathan Rinsler announced that he had cancer, a serious type of cancer. And this is more of a shout out. I'm asking for everybody who enjoys his work. And you probably don't realize it, but if you have any kind of a Star Wars library or reference library or any number of Star Wars books, you probably have works by Jonathan or J.W. Rinsler in there. The one I'm holding up for you guys is The Sounds of Star Wars. This is an amazing book. Barry and I both have it. It's both an incredibly researched book on all of the sounds, how all the sounds were created, forward by Ben Burt, and great interviews by Ben Burt. His work is amazing. It's very scholarly, and he's a really under the radar guy. So I just want everybody, who's been influenced by him to just send out, good vibes, good karma. His wife has posted his update on Facebook, so you can go there and see it as well. But Jonathan, get well, man. We love you. I want more of your magic in my life. So get well.
He has redefined the making of books. I mean, I've got a whole special shelf of his books right here. Making of Planet of the Apes, Aliens, all those books. He's done an amazing job.
And his making of Star Wars books are the most detailed and just incredible reference books. And he had unprecedented access to the material, which was great, but he's just got a way of putting together and laying it out, and doing all the research that it's amazing how much he's able to paint a picture of what it was like making these movies. And his books are great. I mean, I've got a shelf full of them as you guys do. And I had recently watched a live stream he did on, I think it was on Facebook, with him and his daughter. He was taking questions. I honestly didn't realize that he was ill, so I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, positive vibes for sure.
All right, get well, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you hear this, if you had late Christmas presents, maybe you could order them now, but they're certainly too late to order them to get there in time. But Fanboy Collectibles has everything you need. Hey, maybe you got something,
maybe you get a little cash for Christmas,
or
or
whatever.
Maybe you didn't get what you wanted, and now is an opportunity to go get it for yourself.
Exactly.
If you have behaved like some of us, and you've not bought excessive stuff for yourself in the last few weeks, now it's time to reward yourself.
The last few weeks.
I hear the government sending out checks to a bunch of people.
That's a good point, Brian. If you're going to support a small business, we have one to suggest.
Well, yeah, if you were thinking about paying the rent, don't bother. Buy yourselves pay the rent. So anyway, fanboys, check it out. Hot Toys Mandalorian Transport Trooper. But it's cool because it's sort of based on the Solo Mud Trooper.
Very similar with a different helmet, but a cool helmet.
Yeah. Hot Toys Moff Gideon. Thank God they didn't kill him in the finale. So you have your Hot Toys Moff Gideon.
Spoiler.
Iron Studios Catwoman from Batman, the second Batman.
That is a good looking statue.
Great looking statue. But there's Pops and there's Kotobukias and there's sideshows and everything you need. FanboyCollectibles.com. Check it out online. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the regular Joe sent you. They have everything you need. Okie dokie. There are spoilers. Like I said in the beginning, if you have not watched The Mandalorian and you have access to it, you're crazy. And
I can't imagine anybody listening to this show has not watched the finale. So
the price is going up. Pay your money. There's plenty of stuff. There's a lot of stuff coming. It's worth it.
I'm so glad we got in on that 3-year deal at what was it?
Under $5.
We
paid less than $4.
Yeah, it was under $4. Yeah, it was crazy. So good and so worth it.
Yeah, all those months when there's nothing new, we're worth it. But
hey, I got 5 years of CBS All Access for.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing.
Believe me, don't even start me on that.
Anyway,
for a show that's not worth it.
So it's funny because last week we said we weren't going to talk about Mandalorian. Then after we turned the mics off, we went into about 20 minutes of what we thought was going to happen. We did mention two things. I was leaning towards one, and I think Barry was with me too on that.
Oh yeah,
and it's not what happened because we thought what happened was the impossible. Should we?
I will agree with that entirely. I will say what happened. I guess at some point we got to say what happened, but I think they went. I believe this was a strong possibility. I never believed they would do it the way they did it.
I didn't think they'd go there.
I did not think they would.
I agree with you too.
I thought, and again, as we were watching it and we saw this person on the video screen, I was like, okay, that's all we're going to see. And then he was never gonna turn around.
Oh, there's no way. I knew they weren't gonna leave you short-handed there.
The minute I'm just going there. The minute we saw the X-wing fly into frame, I knew
exactly, Barry.
Totally.
See, I knew who it was. I knew the whole time. I didn't think they were deceiving us. I just didn't think they'd deliver to the degree that they did.
And I think that's why they sort of. So Luke Skywalker showed up. All right, spoiler. So,
I was trying to count the red bars on the wing of the X-wing as it flew by to see. Are there 5? Are there 5 bars?
But the thing was crazy was they sort of like X-wing and then guy in a robe. And then
a close up on his lightsaber,
and then a lightsaber, and then his gloved hand. Then
lightsaber. I was going X-wing. Nah, they're teasing us.
Gradual reveal.
No, they're teasing us. No,
I mean,
it couldn't
and they
be.
were
No
clever
way.
about it too, though.
It can't be. No. And then the green lightsaber. It's like, oh my god, they did it.
The first time they showed him on a grayscale monitor.
Right.
So you saw the lightsaber, but you didn't see the color. Okay.
Yeah.
And they
kept
for
tricking you into thinking that's all you were going to get.
8 seconds. And then you saw the green. And when I saw the green, I shouted. It was like when I saw the I was like, oh my God. And it was just like
the green and then the hilt. Then he puts the hilt on his belt.
Until that, it could have been Ahsoka in a hood. It could have been somebody else. It could have been, but when as soon as we saw that green blade, it was just like, oh yeah, they're going there. This is
they just did what we all. If you say what exactly do you want them to do, they did, and you never thought they would do it.
They did.
I'm there sitting. The hair on the back of my neck is sticking up, and I'm like, can you believe? My wife is watching. I mean, can you believe this? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you're dead inside. You know what's wrong with you?
I was like, I'm telling you, I just the. And how they did it with having the Mandalorian himself fight one of these death troopers. And it take like almost 3 minutes to kill this thing. And it came really close to taking him out. And then watch, as we should have seen, this Luke Skywalker in his prime slice through these things like cheese.
Effortlessly.
Okay. And balletically, I mean, it was just incredible that that throwing him around and then pulling him back and then cutting him in half and then moving to the next one. It was
the bookend to the scene in the end of Rogue One where Darth Vader is doing something similar, but this was actually a much longer sequence.
Yep.
Well, that's true. That we never really saw that Darth Vader do what we needed him to see, and we never really saw Luke do what he. I mean, as much as the fight in Empire was good and fight in Jedi was good, but this is the Luke
we knew he was fighting his dad, and it was a different dynamic than him going after like an army of opponents like this. We also
had an established Jedi being able to do everything Jedis are able
right,
to do.
And that's what I'm saying. And this and he was also. I mean, this is at the peak of his powers, obviously, and you got to see it on full display. I mean, when he's does the hand at the robot thing, and his the armor and the plating is just is crumpling and imploding as he's crushing the thing's innards. It's just that's
a new force power that up to that point we hadn't seen.
We'd seen Vader choke the neck of a human from a distance, but we've never seen them like crush a droid like that. So I know we want to talk more about this episode, but I do feel like we should spend a couple minutes talking about what we speculated might happen, because we talked about it after the show and then we texted about it for like the next day or two. And I thought we had come up with a really plausible scenario.
It was. I go back to go ahead, Barry. Set it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start it, but you guys had as much to do. So we were saying, all right, what Jedis are actually potentially still out there, and who could it be? Because we assumed they're not going to do Luke. That was kind of we all said we hoped they would, but no, we know they're not going to.
Because at the time what we were talking about was we believe they would have to recast him, and if you've got to introduce the person and then say,
de-aging him.
I'm Luke
we talked about the de-aging,
and then the question is whether it works.
De-aging is the way to go.
It just didn't seem like they would go there.
It didn't seem like they'd go there.
Right. So then we were like, well, the only other Jedi that, because then we were saying it's got to be somebody big enough that the average viewer is going to know them. It can't be somebody from Expanded Universe, or it probably shouldn't be somebody from a cartoon. So,
and it shouldn't be just some random Jedi. That would have been
Right.
kind of lame.
And if Ahsoka comes back and says there is nobody else, you know that's not true, because there is one preeminent.
well, and she
Jedi
basically
at that
said, I can't help, but here's what you need to do. So for her to show up would have been like weird.
Yeah.
Totally.
So we were speculating that maybe it was going to be the return of Mace Windu, that we never
Right.
saw him die. He could come back with robot hands. He's age-wise would potentially still be alive, but would be older. We know Sam Jackson has said he wanted
And
to do it. So
he did fall out of sight, which is that's what happens.
Then we
You fall out of sight, you come back
rationalized
later.
it all about anyone who has either gets something cut off and falls down a thing comes back,
right.
which
When
goes
you
back
get
to
cut
the
and
Emperor
you fall from great heights. Yeah.
and Darth Luke.
Maul.
It happened to Luke. It happened to Darth Maul.
The
It
Emperor.
happened to apparently Boba Fett.
Mace
fell
is,
down a pit.
Mace is still out there, but he's not.
And then the cool thing,
he hasn't
we
shown
were
up
also assuming, and we were wrong, that Boba Fett would be there at this battle. And we were like, how crazy would it be for Boba Fett to see the guy who killed his dad?
I came up with that just dawned on me a couple days later. I was
yeah.
thinking, I said, what's going to happen if Mace Windu shows up and Boba Fett's there? And it's like, yeah, that's the dude that cut my dad's head off.
Yeah. And we were even saying it's like
Awkward.
Gideon's going to be slicing at someone with the Darksaber, and then a purple lightsaber comes in, and he says, "This party's over." And that's right. So apparently,
Yeah, we had it all worked out.
It sounded
I
good.
do think, though, and I thought this at this time, I don't think enough people will recognize him from that role. I don't think enough people would make that connection. And if you have to explain it, you can't do it. I think they have to reintroduce him, and they got to do it in a way that it wouldn't work.
Well, I'm glad we were wrong. I thought that,
Oh my God, yes.
Well, I mean, the ideal thing would have been what they did, but I mean, they have gone for everything this, except for bringing Boba Fett back this season, and it's just like we need like a live video stream of them thinking through this whole season.
I hope there is footage.
No
of
one
them,
in
like,
this
literally
writer's
going-
room ever says, "Yeah, we can't do that."
I literally hope there is footage of them going, these guys aren't going to believe when they
Oh,
see
my God.
this. They're not going to believe it.
This is it's as big as it gets, guy. I mean, it doesn't
It
get
is.
bigger than this. My
bring-
thinking was more of an expanded universe Jedi. I was thinking, well, Quinlan Voss is like the major
Right, yeah.
one that,
Yeah,
that I
everyone
know
knows who that is.
that isn't dead, but nobody really knows that except just a really stalwart core. So this is as big as it gets. It's like they went for the fences. Amazing.
Since
Amazing.
Darth
The
Vader
other
is
thing is-
Luke's father,
is-
how did they keep this a secret? I
And
mean,
this
they
is
must
the
have
thing.
known for
Like-
a year.
Filoni
He
was
did.
talking
Mark
about
Hamill
this.
said
He
he
said
knew
every
for a year.
casting thing leaked. Everything they did leaked, and they could not control it. Everyone knew in advance who was going to play who. All of that stuff leaked out, and he said this was been in the can a long time, and they were really worried this was going to leak out, and it just didn't.
Wow, that's insane.
Well, and my favorite thing about it, and whether they'll ever admit it, and they won't, but that part of this was, all right, we know people weren't happy with the way Luke was portrayed in the prequel or in the sequel movies. Like, let's give them the Luke Skywalker they wanted to see for the last 5 years. Like,
And
that
if
there had
this
to be a
is-
conversation.
Absolutely. And if this is the last time
Yes.
we ever see Luke Skywalker, which is very probably true, this is a far better way for that to have ended.
100%.
Yeah,
yeah.
totally agree.
I wonder if
And
we'll
and
see
I
it.
know we touched on this before we started recording, and I know we were kind of joking, but and
Well-
I like the sequel movies. I don't love the middle one, but you could almost ignore that those three movies ever happened, and this could be the bookend to
I can
Star Wars
live in this
story.
era for a long time. Okay.
I mean, I would like to, Barry, and I agree with you, Todd. There's nothing that says this is the new Star Wars story that we're crafting than this. I mean, this is what a symbolic way to say, watch us as we know there was something at the end credits too that
I think
talked
it's
about
significant
a Boba
that
Fett series, right?
all the series that they rolled out, nothing follows the sequels. Everything is set in this pre-sequel period.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, even talk about that for a second. So, yeah, there's a post-credit sequence, which hopefully you guys all saw. I know Dave and Todd did.
Yeah.
That sets up a Boba Fett series. And they kept that. They did this huge multi-million-dollar announcement where they announced everything they're doing in Marvel and Star Wars for the next 5 years, and they held this one back.
They left that. It's beautiful. If you think about it, when The Mandalorian started, and we were in the audience, Dave, you Todd, Barry, and I were in Chicago at Celebration, right?
Yep.
When we saw the panel, they, and you got the sense that Filoni, was and Favreau were up on the stage. They were showing us amazing stuff, but they were saying, we're playing with this little story in Star Wars that's way out in the outer rim.
Yep.
Like this thing that's completely in the boondocks. It's a Western. It doesn't really tie to anything else except, look, there's some Imperials and there's aliens you're familiar with, and the central character is this Mandalorian. But there was nothing familiar about it except it was Star Warsy, right? And it had, kind of the Imperial remnant. They have completely crossed over, and they've won the popular opinion.
They've said, but this is so smart to do. You really hit on something there. It was so smart to do it the way they did, to kind of ease into it, the back door into it. Start with the elements that were familiar.
Yes.
And not say, hey, Luke, I'm now going to go off in this mission and do this, and you should follow me, whatever. No, this was a side story that just kind of grew into the, intersected and crossed over the main story.
Yeah.
But they did it right. The first season, they sort of, let's leak this. Oh, here's IG-88. Here's, this, and here's that. And that's the stuff that everyone went crazy for. And then they realized, I think they had this all planned out. They're like, season 1, we'll trickle some stuff out, and if it goes the right way, we're going to really go for it. And that's what happened. If people were like, wait a second, maybe they wouldn't have done it, maybe they would have. But, if they had hit us in the face with all this stuff in season 1, it may have been too much. I don't know.
I think season 1 was the proving ground.
Yeah, proving ground for sure.
And it was how they established their storytelling.
They had season 2 greenlit before season 1 even aired.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
that
on how they did this.
Once the powers that be saw how it turned out,
right?
I think they knew they had something special.
I don't think the powers that be know what the hell's going on.
I also think that season 1.
I agree with you, Dave.
I mean Favreau and Filoni. I'm not talking about.
But I think season 1 at its inception was
Favreau,
a great concept.
We need a Filoni.
But I think by the time it was finished, again, they knew they could do everything they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So there was no reason not to keep running.
And every episode was like, holy crap.
Going back to the cantina in season 1 and landing on Tatooine and all that was one thing. Going back and doing some of the things, spending as much time as they did on Tatooine in this season was another thing. And then for this final end credit sequence, for them to basically go back to Jabba's palace.
Oh my God.
I really think that the powers that be, the true powers that be at Lucasfilm and Disney, when they saw the public affirmation that that was shown for their season 1, they gave them as much latitude as they wanted. Anything you want to do story wise, you guys clearly have the pulse. Go for it.
One exception. This is respectful of the world that it's in.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And no one is trying to make their mark with this. Okay? They're trying to make something that works, and it works within this universe. They're not trying to remake the wheel. They're not trying to do some crazy auteur thing. They're not trying to completely change what Star Wars is. Okay?
Awesome point, Todd.
And that, I think, is why this worked as well as it did.
Yep.
Well, there was a
Awesome
great,
point.
great meme floating around on the internet this week that, the top picture was a picture of J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, and it was the famous quote of, "We can't please the new audiences and also the old fans, at the same time." And then the bottom picture was a picture of Jon Favreau, and it said, "Hold my blue milk."
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, it was great.
And,
That's awesome.
And that's the thing. And it's
That's
like,
great.
Yeah. That again,
That's
Favreau and Filoni, unbelievable.
Derryl, I don't know if you noticed this, and I only noticed it on my second viewing, but when Bib Fortuna is sitting on the throne on Jabba's palace.
So I was going to ask you guys if that was indeed Bib, because I thought it must
says
be
it in
Bib.
the credits. It does say Bib Fortuna, and
we talked about that.
Matthew Wood played him.
Matthew
the
Wood,
sound guy from Skywalker.
He looks like him a little.
Yeah.
Now that you say that.
Yeah,
Okay, keep going,
it was
Barry.
Matthew Wood.
Keep going, Barry.
So he's holding the staff that the vintage action figure Bib Fortuna came with.
Yeah.
Which never appeared in the movies, obviously.
I didn't notice that. That's awesome.
I wonder
It's
if that
awesome.
was in like production photos or costume photos, but never.
No,
made it.
I'm telling you, that was made up for the toy because every action figure had to have an accessory.
The only reason I asked is because Bib Fortuna had these like amazing glowing eyes. This figure did not. This character did not have those same eyes. So I thought, is that the same one? But the colors were all identical.
Yeah.
It's like he never changed his clothes in the number of years since Return of the Jedi.
Go back and rewatch it, or I'll find a screen cap and send it to you. But it's that same staff with the ornate top on it.
Yeah, with the kind of round top.
Yeah. He's holding that as he's sitting on the throne. I was like, oh my god! And this is what they do. They pay attention to that. They put those little things in that most people would never notice.
It's also, you got to remember too that this is being made by people who spent far more time with those toys than they spent sitting in a theater.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure.
their experiences are meshed together, and it's why we got the troop transport and why we had the as I pointed out earlier, why in the Marshall episode when the guy wearing the Boba Fett armor fired the rocket, he fired it the way the action figure fires it, with tipping his body forward at the waist.
That they show on the back of the
back of the package,
original Boba Fett offer. Yes,
it's so brilliant. It's just like, and again, his arms were even straight out the way the figures were.
It's very reverent.
Yeah.
So the only and what we saw, Bib Fortuna became fat because he was sitting on that throne.
Yeah.
Just like Boba Fett became fat too in the
he's a little chubby. Yeah.
He's really chubby. I mean, I must say that's kind of the one thing that bothered me. It's like how out of shape Boba Fett became.
The armor looked a lot smaller on him than it usual, right?
Yeah.
A lot of gaps.
A lot of space not covered there.
You can't be like, dude, just, we're paying you money. Go lose 20 pounds. I mean,
exactly.
But
I got to enter in here. I was just watching the episode 8 again, and or 16, and it occurred to me that the Indiana Jones factor, in that episode would have ended whether Mando was there or not. It would have ended the same way.
Oh, and that's the brilliant thing is like they were okay with, this is like a part of a story. This is chapters in a story, and it doesn't always have to be totally focused on him the way it's great.
Something else that hit me after I watched it. Presumably, this is the end of the Baby Yoda storyline. Maybe he'll come back in future episodes, but ballsy of them to take the thing that has become the most popular thing and say, you know what, this story has to end, and we're going to now move on to a different story. And he said in the episode, "I will see you again." So maybe at some point we'll see him go visit him.
He dug the little silver ball out of his smashed spaceship and tucked it in his belt. And I thought for certain
we talked about that after we saw it.
Baby Yoda was going to reach his hand up, and that ball was going to fly across the room before.
Why didn't they do that?
Because
I think
they're
saving
it for them.
I thought about that today. When
I also thought
again.
he was going to use that on Gideon at some point. He was going to pop that thing out, knock him in the head with it.
No, we talked about
everything else
that
was
would have
gone.
made perfect
he
sense.
was still going to have that little ball, the little shift
Dave,
knob.
think about it. What if a season and a half from now he goes and sees him again, and he takes the ball out and gives it to him? Then
It's going to be the equivalent of the slap bet in How I Met Your Mother. It's just going to come out of nowhere.
7 years later.
He's going to take it out and just throw the ball.
I gotta say that was sad. That's where Pam was tearing up. I'm tearing up at Luke, and she's tearing up at Baby Yoda and Mando.
Oh, as soon as he touched the helmet, you knew that.
Oh my god, I could cry just thinking about it.
Well, and we called it when we were talking about it last week. You knew that spike, that Beskar spike was gonna. We thought he was gonna kill Gideon with it, but he definitely fought him. With it.
We didn't think he was gonna kill him in this season with it, but we thought eventually he would. But
I thought it was really interesting what they did with the whole Darksaber thing. I mean, clearly Bo-Katan's pissed off now.
Yeah. Unresolved
that was
plot
great
point there.
Yeah, you should have said it. What's the big deal? Here you go.
And that was the thing. That is her fault.
But he had no choice, really.
Hey, don't, here's how this is supposed to work.
She did say he's mine.
Well,
but
yeah,
she didn't
fine,
say
but
why.
what am I supposed to do? Let him kill me or let him kill Grogu?
Yeah.
That's setting up a whole nother show.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
the next season is going to be about taking Mandalore back.
Right.
And there's going to be that tension. And then he's going to be seen as the leader, and he's not going to want to. And they're
just like Jon Snow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly, Dave.
But hopefully better.
Didn't a character in this show say that Mandalore was glass, that they completely nuked the planet?
That was
Boba Fett.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what they're going to find.
It can't be the whole. They can't have nuked the whole thing, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty bad.
So where get the impression that people have an impression of what happened on Mandalore, but very few people actually know what actually happened there.
Exactly.
So I haven't seen all of Rebels. I've seen almost all of Clone Wars. So is what happened to Mandalore revealed in Rebels?
It's referenced. I think things happened after that.
Okay.
Barry, would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
It would have to have gotten worse. But I also think it's occupied and they need to take it back. And I think that it's probably the popular opinion that the world is fragged and there's nothing there.
Huh.
Well, right. When you think about it, the Mandalorian himself said everything that goes there dies. Right. And then Boba Fett said, the Empire, turned it to glass. So there's definitely this, popular opinion or the myth out there is that the planet has been destroyed, but
so maybe it's not. Maybe they find a whole different crazy
it is
thing.
Occupied. Is what I would think.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. This is just a random question. It sounds like Boba Fett's armor is Beskar also, from the way they were talking about it.
Yeah, I think so.
Huh?
I think so. I think all of their armor
is all of their armor, you think?
I think so, yeah.
Well, his original armor wasn't all Beskar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I bet you Boba Fett, because he had the dent and stuff like that, I bet it's mixed and matched.
Well, they did mention something about Beskar with him, but it shouldn't be dented.
Well, when he was reclaiming the armor, he said that the Beskar, he did say.
Remember the first
but that's what I'm saying. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's all Beskar.
Yeah, in the very first episode of Mandalorian, he did not have 100% Beskar armor.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I bet it's mixed and matched.
People.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, good
and
point,
I think
Brian.
that when you've got it painted, that's probably an indication that it's not completely Beskar. Because
it's not pure Beskar, yeah.
It's not exactly, and that because you're kind of mixing you obviously don't want to signal what's Beskar and what's not.
Don't shoot here.
Exactly, it makes it a target.
Yeah.
So I would bet that's got something to do.
I know. I'm looking at Mando as he's getting shot 100 times. I'm like, you just really shoot him in the crotch and you really take him out, I think.
Like a knight. You stab him in between the plates, right?
Yeah.
Not on the plates.
I don't know if you guys noticed this either, but in that end scene when Boba Fett is shooting Bib Fortuna, he's got his old blaster rifle back.
Yes.
It's the actual, vintage blaster rifle that he had in Return of the Jedi.
Which has probably been in Iraq on Slave One anyways, but
yeah, or it's just the same model, but it's just cool that again, attention to detail.
Yeah.
And they did not replace the Razor Crest, we may not see this show for more than another year. And all these people who bought it,
Well, Favreau was interviewed this week, and he did say that they're filming Boba Fett now, and as soon as that ends, they're filming Mando season 3. So. He said, and they've already announced Boba Fett is December of of 21. So yeah, we're probably not getting Mando until January, I would think.
I mean, we could be in a world where it's like 8 weeks of Boba Fett, 8 weeks of Mando, freaking Diego Luna.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would be terrible
going on.
Yeah, God, they were like 2020 sucked. We need to make 2021.
I don't think Mando will be out so close to the Boba Fett Chronicles. I think they'll space it out, right?
Well, they got the Ahsoka show coming, and
There's Ahsoka. There's
but we know they're filming the Diego Luna. They're filming the Andor show now. They're filming.
We'll probably see that first, right?
No, they said the next thing we're going to see is Boba Fett. But they're filming both of those right now, and they're starting to film.
I don't think that
in March.
Barry. I think the Cassian Andor show is going to be before that. I think they were talking about what's in production.
Boba Fett's is December. It's a year from now.
Yeah, I think they were talking about I think they were
Boba
talking
Fett
about
before Mandalorian.
the next thing in line for production.
Obi-Wan's in the can, right?
No, Obi-Wan starts filming in March. They said.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what about Ahsoka? Ahsoka.
How many weeks? How many weeks of new programming a year do you think we're going to see for Star Wars and
50?
versus and for Marvel?
The
right?
other thing,
they're not going to drop
50?
these. They're not going to drop these.
Aren't going to be some of these aren't going to be single seasons. I would bet. I would be very surprised to see more than one season of the Obi-Wan thing, but some of these will be multiple seasons. So this could be more like the Netflix Marvel series than, I mean, we may not see 3 seasons of everything like we do with Mando, but I would suspect like the Book of Boba Fett is probably going to be a 6 or 8 episode story, and that stands on its own. But
I think to answer your question, Darryl, with everything that they've announced, and I know it's not all coming out in the next 12 months, but I'm hopeful that at least once a quarter we've got a Star Wars or a Marvel show.
At least once a quarter.
Every couple months, there's got to be something.
So out of a 13-week quarter, we may have eight weeks of a Star Wars show.
I mean,
right?
and I think we'll see something. We'll probably see like Andor first. Who knows?
I really question like how much we're going to see. They're not inexpensive shows, right? And I can't imagine that we're going to have 32 weeks out of a 52-week year. I just did 8 times 4, right? Of a show of the quality that we've been seeing with Mando.
But I know they're not all paid. They have 86 million subscribers, as opposed to an HBO Max that has 12 million subscribers.
Well, but the other thing too is they're not all paid, but at some point their deal with Verizon is going to end, and they want these people to start paying. So they've got to have more content than they've had.
They've got to, but they've also got all the Marvel stuff, and you got to wonder whether they're considering this the same audience as the Marvel audience, or whether they're going to stagger things. But I'll tell you another thing is, you went back to like the Kathleen Kennedy thing and the JJ thing. Okay. I think we can safely establish that Star Wars fatigue is not a thing. Because that's what we're being told. No. That's what we're being told after Solo. And
no,
I don't think that's a thing.
When it's done right.
And when it's done right, it all depends on the story.
It was just bad movie fatigue. That's what it was.
That's right, Brian.
We're tired of seeing bad movies.
Bad movies.
So, all right. So I have one other thing before
bad trilogy.
If every subscription was paid, it's $5 billion a year.
Yeah.
So let's say half of them are paid. It's $2 billion.
Yeah.
They got money.
Are they selling? Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Barry. What were you going to say?
So I was just going to say we didn't really talk much about the Dark Troopers, and maybe there isn't that much to say, but
they're all garbage now.
More for Darryl than anybody. Did the head remind you of anything?
Well, it reminded me of the Dark Trooper head that we did in figures, but
similar, yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Barry.
I'm dropping something in our text chat. The eyes, especially, looked just like Baron Karza. The shape
I actually got Baron Karza. I did.
From Micronauts.
I looked at that, and I said, "That's
Baron
someone
Karza.
else. Someone
boy,
posted
that is funny. I thought exactly that.
Yeah,
Well, someone also
I actually
said the
I
black
put these
hole.
2 pictures together
I
today.
was thinking the black
I
hole,
don't
too.
see the black hole as much.
That's awesome. Yes.
The eyes, especially, there's the triangular shape. I was like, oh, it's Baron Kars's head.
And stormtroopers don't have this kind of eye shape, so
Usually, no, but
that's cool,
it was
man.
cool. It was a cool design. I mean, it was similar to the Dark Troopers that we've seen previously, but different enough that it was unique.
Oh, that's a
So
funny one.
I have another kind of random question as we're moving off this. So Moff Gideon, has he got a Mandalorian connection, or is he just? I mean, the dude wears armor of a sort. Okay, he's obviously fixated with Mandalore. Is this something other than he's one of the conquerors, or?
Do we know where he got the darksaber?
Yeah, how did he end up with that?
We don't.
how long's he had it?
Is he
And-
one of the sellouts? Or has he just got like a Darth Vader fetish?
Or does he have a
let's
whole
see.
thing going on Mandalore if he's got the Darksaber?
This is what I'm saying. I mean,
They
is
land
he-
there and there's 10 platoons of Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and why was he doing this research with the child in the first place? I mean, at whose behest was he doing it?
The Emperor.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Or Thrawn? Like, do we know?
Right? They
The
did drop Thrawn's name, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
Thrawn's-
that's a pretty major drop to have.
That
not,
really was. Yeah.
not
I
paid
think
off
that's
on.
I think that's got to come into play in the Ahsoka show.
Absolutely. Well, that and that would be the what is he, Grand Admiral? Grand Admiral.
Yeah,
Thrawn,
Grand
right?
Admiral.
Yeah.
How did,
I never mentioned this. One of my favorite little Easter egg drops was. Do you remember what Bill Burr said they had to do when they were leaving the
Fill out their TPS reports.
Fill out their
yeah,
TPS reports.
yeah, exactly.
That was awesome.
Brilliant.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So
It's funny. I think I said this when we were talking the other night. So in this show, we've seen more stormtroopers get blasted than
Okay.
in any other movie.
I'm glad you're bringing this up, Dave.
Why are they wearing armor? It does nothing. There's no place you get hit that you don't die.
It's
if
not made of
you're-
Beskar, clearly.
It's certainly not shatterproof. We've seen them shatter them this
Right.
season.
It
is a couple of things. It's to suppress unarmed populations and to intimidate them. And that's what I think.
We've
I
seen
don't
none
think,
of that though.
But
I know
otherwise-
that. We don't see any of that except like remember in the beginning of Force Awakens
Yes, I
when
was
they
thinking
showed
about
up and
that.
they were rounding up all those people? That was very intimidating.
It looks cool, and maybe that's just enough.
And-
But it's
I
no
think
more
it's-
no more protective than the role play gear that Hasbro
No,
makes
it
out of
is
plastic.
yeah,
It is not. But I also think it's like riot gear. That's really what it
You know
is.
what? Speaking of the
It's riot gear.
stormtroopers, what I picked up on my second viewing of this too, even the dialogue that they've given to the stormtroopers is very reminiscent of A New Hope.
Oh,
They
yeah.
say things like
Yeah.
"blast them" and
Oh,
"there they
totally.
are." It's always these short, and then some of it sounds like they lifted that dialogue right out of the original.
Yeah.
because it sounds
So
like the
if-
original voices.
If I have any quibble about, look, I love this show. I'm not going to say it sucks and play contrary, but if I have any quibble, it's like how ridiculous it is that even like Cara Dune and Ming-Na's character, I forget her name,
Fennec Shan.
Fennec Shan, like they just walk down a corridor and they're just blasting everybody and nobody can shoot them and they have no armor, right, whatsoever. It's kind of ridiculous.
Mando gets shot a couple times though. You got to give him.
She
that.
does. Okay.
Yeah, Daryl, they are actually using special forces assault tactics. This is the stuff that they teach. No, seriously. This is what they teach. They teach you if you get behind the crate, you will die behind the crate. You keep walking towards them, shooting them. It's force intimidation. They're doing exactly the way they're looking at this stuff. They're doing it exactly right.
They're exactly the way they're told. So
This is the way you're supposed to, a special force assault. This is how it's supposed to happen. This
You
is the
just
way
keep going.
SAS troops
you just keep going.
work, and they they dart in and out back and forth, but they never stop behind anything. They always keep.
Well-
I was thinking that watching it, I was thinking this is actually the way this would happen. And all the guys that were trying to get cover were getting the shit shot out of them.
Well, it just kind of got ridiculous to me, like how many stormtroopers died and none of the main characters
But
died,
here's the thing.
right?
Okay.
Or even got injured, right?
Okay, Barry, put one of your helmets on for a second. How much visibility have you got?
Oh yeah,
Zero.
Okay.
I think this is
Can't
the
see a
thing.
thing out of it.
I think that it's just a poorly designed helmet. I think these guys have like 30% visibility and no peripheral whatsoever.
And that helmet never changed in 20 years. It's like the
never changed.
design.
Well, they're afraid to complain. Are you going to complain to that human resources department? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I will
Well,
say
that's-
this though, that foursome of the Bo-Katan and her, I don't know the
girlfriend.
other female Mando's name, and that was they were menacing. Like they looked
Oh my
so
God.
badass, and they did. I mean,
Yeah.
Cara Dune's been good in other battles. I thought that she came off like a total badass in this episode.
Right down to the gun jamming and her being pissed off with the gun jamming.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
that
Fennec was
realistic.
totally. She was taking
But
out more
when
than
she
anybody.
came out after the gun jam, and she came out and she was holding it and just like
But my favorite thing was the
killing
ramp.
everybody. It was great.
Was as soon as they got on the ramp, and this is the thing that has been great with the series, and this is Filoni. This is totally Filoni. He uses Mandalorians the way you're supposed to use Mandalorians.
Yes.
The jump immediately jumping off the ramp, okay,
Yep.
so that they could come back up and take these guys out in the crossfire.
It was amazing. That
Because
was amazing.
If you're trained from childhood to fight with a jetpack, okay, you fight differently than someone whose 2 feet are on the ground constantly. It was beautiful, and it was
even in the bar when they showed up to try to get Bo-Katan to help them, and Boba Fett and the other female Mandalorian are fighting. She uses the jetpack in little bursts so she can run up the wall and get like just the little things like that.
But we saw
so
those things
well done.
in Clone War, in the really good Clone War stuff, and there's a reason that again it's Filoni. It's just, but it's fantastic.
How about none of us ever
absolutely
understood the mechanics of Slave One, and in one episode they just put the inside of Slave One, and now we know how the thing works.
Yeah, that's true. It was cool. That was like a 3-second shot that they threw in. It's like, okay, now we get how this thing works.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that ship now, and I never really liked Slave One, and I really like it now. Now that
It still looks like an iron.
You're a traitor.
Is it? I like that. It looks like an iron. It does. Barry, didn't you build that last
year?
year?
Model of it, but I never.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. One of my
The
favorite
other thing that we didn't talk about, and I mentioned it in the text, but so R2 shows up in this whole after this thing, which was awesome. We get to see R2. I believe there was some connection between Grogu and R2. And I'd love to, because R2 was doing a lot of beeping. Grogu was obviously sort of talking or saying something. Do these guys know each other? That's what I'm curious about.
I think R2 was speaking whatever language.
I think
Grogu.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But have they seen each other before?
No.
Could they have?
I think Luke doesn't know every obscure language in the universe, but R2 could. So
yeah. No,
but I liked Todd's thing that it was R2 going, oh no, not another one of these little green guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm going to end up in the mud again, aren't I?
Hey, I know your dad.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But
I didn't get the sense that they knew each other.
There was
I did not see
connection
that coming. Obviously, he's in the X-wing, but I didn't see that coming, and I thought that was great. The moment when he comes out, that was just awesome.
R2 is the one who got Grogu over the separation anxiety.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Well, also going with this dude that you just saw kill everything in sight might be a little intimidating.
Yeah.
It's yet another dude in black with a lightsaber, and
I guarantee there is dialogue for what those two said to each other, and I really would like to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would as well.
We should just before we wrap up on this, talk just a minute about how well they executed Luke. I mean, just Rogue One was only a few years ago, and Tarkin looked good. Leia looked pretty good. This Luke looked really good, I thought.
He didn't move around a lot, though. His face kind of stayed in one spot.
I don't think I never thought Leia looked that good in Rogue. I really
I agree with that.
And I think this looked very good. I think it benefited his being in that, kind of that alcove, and having some shadow on him because he was not the same light texture as the Mandalorian.
He didn't have to. He didn't move. Yeah,
he did bend over to pick up Grogu though, and
did. But I'm saying it wasn't. It was fantastically rendered. It was great. You knew what they did, but it wasn't Uncanny Valley. It was like you were looking at it and you're saying he could be right here right now.
And apparently Mark Hamill was on set when they filmed that.
Yeah. So,
did he need to be? I mean, you think they actually put him in and then re-rendered him? I mean,
I think it was another actor, but
another actor, but he probably
had him there probably to read the lines or do something.
The lines, yep.
It was almost as good as Kurt Russell in Guardians 2.
That's still the best, I got to say. And the thing that's amazing with that one is that's bright sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
There's sunlight streaming through the trees behind him, and he looks hyper real. And that's where this if he'd been backlit or something maybe, but this was, I think they did fantastic.
No, they did good.
This was
I admit I cried.
Yeah. I did too.
You're gonna cut this out, right, Dave?
Yeah.
No, I cried too.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my new ringtone. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's something that's like, what could they do when they exceed your expectations of what they actually could do?
Oh my gosh.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. I would not want to be them writing season 3. It's like, good luck, guys. Good luck following that.
And I do think for the most part, the internet was somewhat respectful. They waited a day before they started talking.
I felt like, everyone, this is something that we've all band together. There weren't and it may be sort of what this show doesn't have is like the Trolls, it feels like, the prequels and stuff, and they're open to a larger audience, obviously. I mean, you got to be subscribing to Disney Plus and you got to be involved, but at least I don't read this stuff anyway, but you don't immediately see the Trolls come out with this kind of stuff, which is nice.
Here's the great thing, though, that this isn't divisive. This show doesn't have camps of people saying this is the greatest thing ever, being countered by people saying this is total crap, this is not my Star Wars, you ruined my childhood. They started from a safe place, and they really went all out. So I expected to be more reaction to this than there was. I expect some negative reaction. There hasn't been. I think it's
Plus, Filoni already had a great fan following.
Yeah,
for his respect.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, treated everything reverently, respectful, but not too precious.
Yep, exactly.
Well, and Filoni's earned it too. I think for 10 years of being the voice of this stuff and being at conventions and taking the questions and being accessible. He earned it.
Yeah, they were not afraid to destroy beloved things. I mean, they blew up the Razor Crest forever. This
is what I think is great with next season. And you say it's going to be daunting doing next season, but they took so many pieces off the board. They now have a clean slate to start with. Because the child's gone. You don't have the Razor Crest. And you have a sense of the mission, but we have no idea what Mandalore looks like. We have no idea what they're going to encounter on the way. They've got a light destroyer now, which is going to be interesting what they do with that.
Can you fly that with just 4 people?
I think they're going to bring other people on board.
It seemed like they were.
Yeah, I think they're bringing other people on board, but I also think they're going to try to get other ships too. So
the weird thing is
piracy stuff.
The Republic will come in and help.
How come Luke didn't be like, "Hey, give me this dude on the ground. He's bad. I'll take him with me too, and we'll deal with him."
Yeah. Man, I just bought one of those HasLab Razor Crests.
I wanted to ask you a question about that. They literally closed
it's
the HasLab
Memorial Edition.
But they literally closed that crowdfunding project the week before they destroyed it. Do you think they knew? You think they knew?
I'm glad the show doesn't owe anybody anything.
They knew.
I was astonished that Moff Gideon didn't actually off himself, because as soon as the finger went up for pre-sale, it was like they're going to bury this guy, meaning bury B-A-R-R-Y.
You know what? The other thing that I love is the gun that they keep using, that all the stormtroopers are using, and that Moff Gideon even used, is a gun that you only ever saw in a production photo for the original Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a gun that was never in Star Wars, but it was in production photos of stormtroopers holding it. And they've brought that back and made that like.
I thought that was the tree trooper pistol. It's not. It's something else.
I thought it was something else.
Interesting. No. Huh.
Yeah,
cool.
it's like the TIE Fighter. It's like the TIE Fighter pistol.
Yeah, but it's not a gun that was traditionally sort of known. I mean, they've used the regular blasters as well, but we've seen in a lot in the first 2 seasons of Mando that gun, which was a very obscure, not really screen,
But that's totally their way of doing it.
Yeah,
that's great. Because that way it feels Star Wars without it being over the top.
Not everybody has the same thing. There's a warehouse somewhere full of M1 carbines that nobody uses anymore. And yeah.
Good stuff.
Plenty to be happy with this show.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. If you don't like it, I'd like to hear about you before we ban you from listening to the show.
That's right.
Be curious who has an issue with this. So we'll see. But it looks like 21 is going to be definitely an interesting year to see a lot of other stuff.
Before we get away from it,
Yes.
I had a thought today. Does anybody know how many minutes long each season is if you string them all together? Has anybody done that math?
That is an interesting thought.
I would think it would be a great project, a fun project to edit each season into a 2-hour and 20-minute movie as a feature. So 2
You
seasons.
probably
2
could.
features.
I mean, most of the episodes they're all like under 45 minutes, I think, except one.
And a lot of them feel like acts too of a longer story.
And that's the nice thing is they took as long. Like, I gotta say, I was stunned on the second viewing to realize that the Robert Rodriguez episode where we get to see we're reintroduced to Boba Fett, that is 30 minutes long. It's like 31 minutes before the credits. Okay, that feels like, I mean, it's where it's all action.
That's
where
right.
you get to see the shattering stormtroopers and all that kind of stuff. You compare that, you juxtapose that with the first episode, which we were like, that's
Oh
it.
my God! Like, why is it so short? Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
they're close to the same length, but it's like you're just on the edge of your seat every second and doing a lot of oh geez. and yeah, I mean, it's like,
by the way,
it's like
Robert
really
Rodriguez
come into their own.
is going to be one of the showrunners on the Boba Fett show.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
That's
it'll definitely
awesome.
be
Oh,
like that sort of Western.
Because he owns Boba Fett now.
Yes.
That is the best incarnation of Boba Fett we've ever seen.
He'll get the created by that Favreau got on this one.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
I definitely
let's
want
go
to see more gaffy stick action. That was awesome.
toothbrush.
Bantha toothbrush.
Let's go show and tell. We haven't done that in a while, so we're gonna show and tell. Anyone want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Darryl.
So, I'm grabbing my stuff.
Hey,
So,
don't do that on camera.
I've got a display room where I have a lot of my different favorite things on display. And what I found...
He has a lot of favorite things, by the way.
I've got a lot of favorite things. So it's not just Star Wars, not just G.I. Joe. But I've found that Hobby Lobby is an incredible resource. Now, I'm not usually a fan of Hobby Lobby. We won't go into...
Their politics aside.
Their politics is really weird. But I'll give credits to the buyer there because they have really dialed in on fan culture. And I like to get a lot of signs for my display cases, different things to put on top. And they're just knocking it out of the park. And I'm going to hold up for you guys. This is something that just came out. It's their spring 2021 collection. This is a 3D lenticular Batman.
Oh my God!
Hey, back it up a little.
God.
Back it up a little bit, Darryl.
It's a Batman from inside the Batcave, It shows Batman fighting.
Oh my God,
wow.
I need that.
Fighting the Joker, and it's got the giant dinosaur and the penny and all this stuff. And it's a 3D lenticular, a nice rectangular size, perfect for putting over a display case. It's absolutely amazing.
That's cool.
Todd is ordering on his phone right now.
And I'm holding up another sign. This is a metal sign they have. It just says it's like a Batcave sign, just a metal
Welcome.
Batcave
What's
sign.
it say? Welcome.
Welcome to the Batcave. So
I like that.
It's just they are go in there. They've got Marvel wall art, DC wall art, absolutely incredible stuff. I'm just blown away.
Near me.
That's where I got my Star Trek bathroom sign
Yeah.
that I have on the basement bathroom door.
So I'm just so impressed. I've gotten so many things that are useful for kind of my decorating there. We're at, we know we're at a golden age for, geek fandom. But the stuff they have is just
I'm with you on not liking their politics, but finding myself there a couple times a year because they finally opened up in my area. Exactly. And I've gotten a bunch of model kits there. I actually was there a couple weeks ago, and they're one of these stores that always has a 40% off coupon on their website for
that's
all
the
those
other
places
thing.
do.
You can always get it cheap. So
I actually picked up 2 model kits there, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago for a really good price, and I'm sure I'll have those at some point in the What's on My Workbench segment. But
the Batcave sign is on sale. Oh man, both of them are on sale.
Yeah,
okay.
40% off. All right, so that's my show and tell. Todd,
Right.
come back.
Okay, yep.
He's making you go now.
Okay, so sticking with the Batman theme, this technically could have been a What's in the Box, but I have waited a long time for it, and I was very, very excited about this. This is the newest statue in my collection.
Oh, it seems heavy. This
is Batgirl from the Superpowers collection.
Oh, we talked about that in a commercial.
yeah,
And just recently came in. I ordered it a long time ago. All of these have like a little option to them. It's like there'll be like a Batarang or something like that. She comes with a spare belt buckle, so you can switch belt buckles. I don't know. But anyways,
Is that a tweeter head?
It sticks, and this is, I think it is tweeter head. Hang on.
Careful! I just feel like you're going to drop that.
It is
The way
tweeter
you're
head. No,
holding
I got
it.
it. And so big ass box, and this through no fault of Troy was shipped and then like trapped in postal limbo in Connecticut for like 10 days. But
what color's the cape?
It's dark blue. It's kind of a dark blue gray. It's nice.
That's not why I was asking.
Pictures.
Wow, that view, yeah. Dave.
This is yeah. It's
a well-proportioned
Tweeter head is
statue
famous
right
for
there.
You should show
taking care of
that. Yeah, lift it. Show it again.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Anyways, I love this. I have a Batman that from the same line that it goes with, and they're both kind of standing on a cornice, and part of a whole kind of series. And I got one more of these coming, but yeah, really, really excited.
Nice asset.
And I'll post some pictures. Yes, yep, yeah, it is.
Assets.
It's,
assets.
So
Nice.
anyways, Brian, what do you got?
He's not there.
He just
You
walked away.
noticing?
Brian left. He's
Well,
off
let's go to
ordering
Dave
one
next.
himself.
Okay,
Go ahead, Dave.
I'm putting something in the whatever feed, our
Text
feed. This is what I just completed building. I've been thinking about this for a year, but with all the movies now coming to a home near you, we decided to build a home theater in the basement. And it's not completed, but all the electronics are there. We just this weekend got the rug and the theater chairs. So I'm ready to watch Wonder Woman.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you have one, don't you?
Yeah,
Darryl?
yeah, I do. But yours, it's amazing, Dave.
So is that
came out really good.
is that
Wow.
a projector screen or
Yeah, that is a 120-inch screen, a projector
Wow.
above it, and Yeah, this was a basement that we didn't really. We played ping pong down there basically, so it was a lot of unused space. So
Oh my god!
I've been kicking that around for a while, but I'm like, now's the time to do it. We're home. We haven't gone on vacation, so this could be the vacation fund. And there's going to be tons to watch in the coming year in home. So
Yeah.
Congratulations!
Yeah, it looks really good.
yeah, I think
great.
I did all the hard goods. I got to figure out maybe repainting a darker color and things like that. But I wanted to get it really ready for Christmas, sort of, so we could watch not just about Wonder Woman, but stuff. But these chairs are great. I ordered. They took forever. They were trucked across the country from California, but I don't think you see them in this. They have lights under them and they motorized and all that stuff.
Wow.
The pictures you sent us yesterday, the day before, you could see the blue neon light.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
From under them.
The little
Yeah.
theater lights there.
which make
it looks
almost
like
no
the
sense because
The
This
cup
is
holders
amazing.
light up too, right?
the
From what I
cup
saw?
hol- and they switch on and off because when you turn them on, they're on the screen. So I don't know what the hell.
Wow.
But yeah. So I just got to tweak them. Well, don't you have a pretty big room? I don't know if we've seen pictures of your theater.
It's not as big as this room.
Oh, really?
Yep. No. And when we bought the house, the guy before me was apparently, he was a geek too, and so he had the movie room. So we largely left it unchanged. This is a bigger movie room. This is amazing. And
Yeah.
this was largely unused space in your basement.
I had
that's
finished
fantastic.
the
Dave.
basement myself 10 years ago, and then on the other side of the basement's pretty big. You know, this is a pretty new house, so they came with a big basement. So the other side is like a big couch and a regular TV, and then I've got storage, and then I've got my workshop back there, which is like pretty big. And then
The
this
other
whole
side of the
other
basement's
side.
where I sleep. So
Yeah, but that room is where you built the theater is where we shot that movie years ago,
yes,
right?
and where we
That we
did the regular Joe's special
We
episode.
did if you have the regular
Wow.
Joe's book, the back cover photo is in that basement. Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it had gym equipment. It had a pinball machine that I sold. But yeah, I would really love to design it into like, there it is. That's looking at the movie screen right there.
Yeah.
I'll include that picture on the website.
Yeah. I love it to be like, you'd see these home theater, and I'm watching a ton of YouTube home theater videos, and like people got crazy things. I just
Oh,
don't
Yeah,
know how to even
I'm kind of shocked it's not
that.
themed. I gotta say.
Well,
Dave.
there's
get
time
there.
for all that.
it's just the start. Yeah, there's time for that.
That's
Yeah.
usually
Dave,
where
you
people
could- you could
start.
use
is they
your
start with
He's
the
got a
theme.
truck full of stucco coming in. He's going to make it a cantina.
But you could use the Glowforge to make the Death Star light panels and put those up on the walls.
Yeah, I can make them in 1/6 scale. I don't think I can make them in 1/1 scale. But anyway, that's
Well, yeah, there's
show and tell.
Dave, you can, if you haven't already, go to avscienceforum.com.
yeah. There's
Or,
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's all kind people are very
I want a
serious
whole
there.
candy counter, but Pam was like, "Why would you? What are we doing?" I'm like, "Because we have to have like a whole
Where's
little
the
concession
you
stand."
gotta have everybody has the popcorn machine in the back of their theater, right? You gotta have the popcorn machine.
Yeah.
That
Well,
sounds great until you realize like what it takes to clean that thing out on
Yes.
every time you use it.
Well, Dave, I saw one theater. I thought this was amazing, where you just go in and just on the left hand side, it's like a little like 1/4 round shelf display that had all the stuff on it, like, you know, because it was very vertical, so it had just all the stuff, jujubes or whatever.
I'm actually been looking at like acrylic display stands that you could put like a whole bunch of stuff. Pam's like,
yeah,
"What do
exactly.
you need that for?" I'm like, "Why not?" I ordered Juji fruits by the dozen from Amazon as it is, so why not?
You need the now playing sign for sure. You need.
I know.
Need
I was
that.
thinking about that.
Well, that's one of the other things that I just got from Hobby Lobby is this 3D cinema sign, you know, for the door.
Oh,
Dave,
really?
now,
Just a
Dave,
cinema.
you said you have clappers from some of the, do you still have clappers from some of the
Oh,
productions you
yeah.
That would be a neat place to display those.
You know,
Yeah. I don't have anything great though.
it
No,
just
but
occurred
still,
to me that
it's, you know, yeah, still.
televisions are cheap enough now. You could turn them on 90 degrees and put up the movie poster, whatever movie you're watching.
Oh my God, that's a great idea.
It's a
Or
display.
even
There's the
an
one sheet.
iPad just outside, like a small
Yeah.
version of that, or 19-inch.
I like the idea of a TV though. That'd be kind of cool to just have that like now showing.
Right,
And,
it could be almost the same size as a one sheet. It could be big enough.
and you do exactly, and you have like the gold frame around it, and then you have now showing below
There
it.
is also a company, Dave, that sells the light boxes with the now showing thing above them, and you can actually put the double-sided backlit posters in them. They look amazing.
To switch out the poster every time, I like the idea of the TV.
TV
And,
makes it easier.
there's the wall right outside that room is blank, and it feeds into the utility room.
Yep.
And I had electricians come. They were here Saturday to wire everything because I was going to do it myself, but I was told I wasn't allowed to do that.
I wasn't suggesting you change out a movie poster every time you watch a movie. I was just saying it would look good for a couple of your favorite movie posters.
I think you need to, like hook up a Plex app or something like that and link it in so that as you toggle through shows on your hard drive, it changes the poster.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure. The Plex app is only like $50,000 fee a year or something.
Yeah, no, it's
No, I actually think of something different.
The Plex app's free, but
Plex is free. You're thinking of that other.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
yes.
Thinking of the other thing.
Yeah.
Plex app is just a media organizer, but
I didn't know what that was. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about me. Brian, what do you got?
Okay, so years ago, before some of you were born, I think this was probably 1967. I was
We've all been alive since.
Depending on the month, I may or may not have been born.
I was going to a birthday party for a friend, and we didn't have a present, so we stopped at a Five and Dime and bought a Aston Martin DB5 toy, which I thought was awesome.
Yes.
And for some reason, I never got one when I was a kid, even though I gave one to this kid. And so I've been chasing one lately, and they've been outrageously expensive because they're a tin toy from the 60s. But I found one on eBay that needs some help, so I bought one that's kind of broken.
Oh, a big one. That's the one you got the kid, not the corgi one.
No, not the corgi one. This one was.
I assumed you meant the corgi one.
Yeah.
No. This one was remote control.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And when
I've never seen that.
It came with wire because it was wired remote control.
Oh.
So it's got the little ejection hatch, and the machine guns come out the front, and so this one was already apart, which is also kind of the fun part of it, is you get to see how the whole thing worked.
Look at that! I've never seen that.
I have never seen that.
Who makes that?
Oh, I'm sure it's from Japan. There's no name on the bottom at all.
I would think like somebody, I don't know, somebody with an M.
But I'll do some more research on it. But yeah, it was so I get to restore this one.
Wow, that's awesome! I didn't even know that.
Get some good pictures of that, Brian. That is real. That is not what I thought
really
you
was
were
thinking.
Show
Oh,
us.
corgi.
The corgi one I have. Yeah, I got a shelf right back there behind me. But no,
I've had mine since I was a kid.
This one's is the bigger tin toy version.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Me.
I'm
Barry.
last.
Okay.
Yep.
Barry, what do you got?
So this is show and tell. What's on my workbench? Call it whatever you want. But because Brian's on, and we talked about this, but I never showed this finished on the show. I'm going to show my finished shuttlecraft model, which I know I've shown pictures of it to Dave and Todd, but it is done. I know I've complained about building Star Trek models, that I'm used to building Star Wars models, which are used universe, dirty, weathered. This stuff has to be clean, and that makes it a lot more challenging. I can open the bottom of the door, reach my finger in, turn the lights on.
Oh.
You can see, let me turn this light off. You can see the cockpit. There we go.
There you go.
Cockpit's got lights, but the back, I'm very happy
12/21/20.
The way the back came out. It's actually
very nice.
There's a red LED down here, and then this is a mixture of white and blue LEDs that flicker. I don't know if that's coming out well on the camera or not, but I decided to display it with the back hatch down, so you can actually see inside.
That is beautiful, Barry. That is absolutely gorgeous.
And it did not come in the show. There was a little support that holds that shelf in place. It didn't come with one, so I actually used a guitar string. I don't know. Of course, you did. See it. I'll send you guys pictures of this, but very happy with the way this came out. This kit is great. It's a newly developed I put the headlights in too. I don't know if you can see those down there.
Yeah.
New kit that came out just this year. The decals are great. The fit and the finish of it are great. And I'm always happy when the decals look like they're painted on. And in this case, I was able to really get them to sink into the paint. So they really do look like they belong there. And I'm just super happy with this kit.
It's fantastic.
Looks great.
It's great.
First
So
Star
I
Trek
have always
kit I've
thought
built that I'm happy with.
I always assumed that the things you call headlights were the deflectors. You think that, did they say that in the instructions?
I don't think they referred to them as much of anything in the instructions. Okay. I think they just were there. But they give you, I mean, the way that they build it, these are clear. So they're made that if you want to light them, you can. So, you know, I painted around on both the front and the back for light blocking. And then I put, I didn't attach the top. The top slides in place so that I can actually get in there if I need to adjust anything. But
I was thinking maybe you're going to keep cigars in there. But
I built little light boxes around all the areas that needed to be lit so that there wouldn't be. Yeah, I don't smoke cigars, but that would be a good place to hide them. Just a good stash box in general for whatever.
It is great. Yeah,
nobody would ever see it. But yeah, this is a great kit. Very happy with the way this.
Maria will never find your secrets.
That's true. Yeah, that's where I'll keep all my hidden agenda items in there.
Awesome. Well, I do believe we have a last thought, which ties into a lot of what we're talking about.
We do.
Barry, why don't you...
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate we've lost so many people this year for various reasons, but Jeremy Bullock passed away since the last time we recorded, and of course everybody knows he was the original Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So with all the Mando talk, it only seems appropriate that we wish Jeremy Bullock fond farewell. He was a regular on the con circuit. You know, he was one of those guys that you always knew you'd get a chance to meet and talk to. And I met him a few times. He was always super friendly. I was telling these guys last week, at one point, when Dave and I went to Celebration 3 years ago, I took a picture with him. And then years later, I went to a show he was at, and I printed that photo as an 8x10, brought it because I wanted to get him to sign it. And he refused to take money for it. He's like, it's a picture of me and you. I'm not charging you for it. I just love that people bring me these pictures. And his wife was always with him, and they were just always the nicest people. So it was very.
It wasn't an act, Jared. He was a sincerely class act.
You definitely got that came across. And I would never really, as you know, a Boba Fett fan, but the couple of times I've seen him or met him with Barry or without. It's just he really, really worked well. Had a great signature too. Yeah. And he would sign in green, really well placed, but just a super nice guy. And I've never heard anything.
Mark Hamill wrote,
people have a great experience with him.
Mark Hamill wrote that he was the quintessential English gentleman. And he said he
He had stopped doing convention appearances about a year ago because I think he had Parkinson's.
Parkinson's, yeah.
But yeah, it's funny on that poster that I have all the signatures on. Everything is either like silver or gold, but he signed in a green paint pen, and it jumps out when you look at that poster. You just see his signature right away. Good dude.
He's the kind of guy who makes going to these conventions a great experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
All righty, everyone. Thank you. This will be our last live show for the year. Not that there's that many days in the year left. So, Barry, what are we doing? What are we playing in a week or so?
Yeah, so we're taking the next week off, but we are going to put a show, actually 2 shows out. We were talking a couple weeks back amongst ourselves just about how much we miss the conventions and specifically Rhode Island Comic-Con, that this was always our favorite show. You guys have all been there with us. We have such a great time at that show. And, we didn't get to do it this year, obviously. So we thought it might be fun to end the year with every interview we ever did at Rhode Island Comic-Con, edited together. It ended up being so much material that we put it into 2 parts. So the next 2 shows we're going to drop are all of our interviews in chronological order. From Rhode Island Comic-Con.
And one of the great things with this is tremendous job by Barry. But one of the great things is, in addition to the guests that we encountered, Derryl is with us. Our friend Sean is with us at one point. Brian joined us. So there's a whole lot of Joes in there. So
you'll hear. Actually, you guys are both in it. So
I look forward to it because I've not heard all of your Rhode
But
Island.
we won't be paying you extra for those episodes.
Yeah.
No, you.
Oh, no
that
residual
won't be
check
reflected in
again.
the spoils for
Again.
those.
It's so funny. This season now with the Christmas season, like all the vacation movies are on, and I can't click through the dial without thinking. Remember when Brian and Beverly D'Angelo sort of had this thing?
Had a moment.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's the only interview we ever did.
It
that
was
none
spicy.
of us heard until we heard it back on the show.
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah, because I
doing
was
his own
50
thing.
feet away. Yeah.
Yep.
It was red hot.
Yeah. But yeah, so I cut it all together, so
So
we're gonna
when are we?
relive Rhode Island.
How are
Great
we
job.
putting them out? Are we going to put one on New Year's Day and then?
I thought we would just maybe put one out next Tuesday and then the other one on New Year's Day, just so that they're a couple days
Okay,
apart.
there you go.
That's
Something
good.
like that.
Good positive memories. Right now, that place is a COVID center, so it's
Oh,
you know,
God.
hospital beds
Oh, Jesus.
filled with
wow.
hospital beds.
Is it really? Ugh.
It's actually it's pretty amazing what they've turned it into, but you know I think what you're doing is a great use of the positive energies. You know,
We had some great times there. We will again.
We absolutely will
We
again.
will again. But
Yep.
this
Yep.
is just a yep. And I'll say there are some great, totally spontaneous interviews in there. Jason Isaac was fantastic,
Oh.
and you know, there's just a lot of these that are just absolutely terrific.
And
good stuff.
for the most part, we had great years. There's 1 or 2 years where we had very light.
I think it's one we had almost nobody.
That was the it was
I did intros and broke them up by year and just like put little
Great.
things in there. So you'll.
But
you'll
we
hear-
came back
there's-
strong. Last year was great. I mean,
Oh,
there
last
was a
year,
lot
the
of
last
good
2
stuff.
years were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So if you've got friends who haven't listened to the podcast and you want to just have them try these next 2 episodes. Tell them that every episode is like that, and you know, we'll see.
we were interviewing the Karate Kid people when no one remembered who they
when
were.
no one remembered the Karate
Now
Kid.
they're
Luke
a big
Zapka
thing.
was like he was he was great.
right,
He was our
so-
booking agent the first night.
If you listen to the entire thing, you will hear the evolution of us as interviewers.
Yeah, kind of afraid of that.
Interview compared to the last interview, you can tell that we've actually
There were
grown.
times we had no idea what to
He
say.
was just totally starstruck, sitting there, not able to put sentences together. It's going to be So
So it's good.
That sounds
Good
like
stuff.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sticking with us. It's been a crazy year for everybody. We appreciate it. Everyone listening to us out there, we thank you guys for joining us multiple times this year, and we look forward to more.
Always great
this
being on
next
the
year.
show.
Oh, so
Always
fun.
great. So much
so
fun.
fun, guys.
It's always good to have friends on. And
Thank God we
talk.
can have nights like this, you know, with all the craziness going on.
We
So
were
thank you
doing
guys.
Zoom before there was Zoom. You know, we're
right.
innovators, but we get nothing for it. But have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.